you so much, Dr. Betty, for those introduction to the conference. But before we go into the main session, the first speaker, the hotel is waiting for us to give us briefly a minute or two for a safety talk. Over to you, Elephant Hills.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, you don't look lively. Are we not taking good care of you? All right, so good morning, everyone. Yes, that's what we do in Victoria Falls. We're lively. Okay, so I'm sure most of you have met me already. My name is Sharon Nerande. I am the guest relations team leader for the hotel and your personal person. I'm sure we've met yesterday at check-in, and here we are today. So I don't work alone. I work with all those beautiful ladies and everyone else behind the scenes, just to make sure that we're going above and beyond for you. Okay, so we're just going to tell the hotel story just right now, what we do and how we're going to just ensure that you're safe and you're also feeling special whilst you're here with us. Right, so firstly, I have Mr. Rickson. He's our security manager. He'll take you through.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Rutson Bondia is my name. I work here in the loss control department. Our major obligation as a department is to take care of your safety and security. So if you have got any threats, safety threats or issues, do not hesitate to contact us through our desk, our guest relations desk or reception. Will be readily available to assist you. Here are some of the following measures, safety and security measures in place. All hotel, I will start with the hotel has a 24-hour security coverage from a reputable organization. Second, all hotel guest room doors are electronically operated and deposit safes for your guest valuables. So I urge you to make use of those safe deposit boxes in your room for your cash and the likes. The hotel premises is protected with electric fence, so do not touch the boundary fence. The hotel is a fire detection system installed and functional firefighting equipment, as well as in-house trained fire team members. The hotel have exit and escape routes well provided throughout the entire property in case of emergency. All guest rooms have an emergency plan behind the main door, so I urge you to go through them for familiarization in case of emergencies. The hotel has 2 emergency designated assembly points. Also, our hotel is located in the National Park, so I urge you to make sure that you treat all the animals you see here as wild. Do not touch or feed them. And also, I urge you to make sure that whenever you are going out of your rooms, make sure that you secure your doors and windows. Because here we live in harmony with nature, there are monkeys and baboons, they might enter your room. Lastly, I would like to welcome you to Elephant Hills Hotel and wish you a good conferencing time. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Emma Kasu. I'm the Assistant Facilities Manager here. We work behind the scenes and we make sure everything is working well. We are very safe. Everything is according to standard. The safety is everything we use, and the rooms and the facilities here at the unit are very safe. You are welcome. Enjoy your stay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Reina Chiponda from Housekeeping Department. We are responsible for the cleanliness of the rooms and the public areas. So we make sure that your rooms are sparkling clean. If you have any problem, don't hesitate to contact us through guest services. Enjoy your stay. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Alice Mukwama. I'm from the IT department. I would like to welcome you to Elephant Hills. And also, I just want to advise you, if you've got any IT issues that you would have, do not hesitate to contact us through also the guest services desk. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Majita Msingwa, and I'm under food and beverage. So our main aim here is to make sure that you have a memorable and unforgettable dining experience ever. So we are also here to assist with the allergies, be it also request. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and our honored delegates, it is a pleasure to welcome you once again to Elephant Hills Resort, and good morning to you all. My name is Anele, and I am the Assistant Front Office Manager. It is our responsibility to ensure that you have a smooth check-in and check-out process. However, should you lose your key, forget your room number, or forget your room, remember we are in the majestic Elephant Hills Resort. Please feel free to approach me or the reception desk. We'll be readily available to assist you. Thank you for choosing Elephant Hills Resort.
A pleasant morning to you all. Thelma Gamana is my name from the HR department. I will be joining you for this conference. Welcome to Elephant Hills Resort. Thank you.
Good morning, distinguished guests. My name is Memory Nyasha. I'm the Assistant Banqueting Manager. So for the room that you're in, for all the rooms that you will use during your conferences, we are the team that is behind the scenes, that is make sure that your room is up to the standard that you require, the temperature control, the food as well that will be served, everything that you will require during your conference. Please come through guest services, please come through to our banqueting office. It's a pleasure to have you once again. NASA, you are home. You are welcome. Thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Standing in front of you now is Nancy Chigodo. I lead the reservations team here at Elephant Hills. I'm the reservations manager. Kindly feel free to contact me and my team for all your corporate and leisure or holiday bookings. And yes, we are still open for Christmas bookings and the New Year's bookings. Have a blessed day.
Okay, so you've seen for yourselves. This the team that's making it happen for you right here at Elephant Hills. And on behalf of our team leader, Mr. Chico Mulinde, we do promise to go above and beyond to ensure that this is a success and you enjoy Elephant Hills and Victoria Falls as a destination. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elephant Hills. The team is there at your disposal for any thing which you may want to be assisted with. Right. We want to go straight into our first presentation, and today I am proud to present before you Mr. Tinashe Muzira, who is a renowned safety, health, and environment and quality, also highly experienced in ESG frameworks, environmental, social, and governance, and sustainability, focusing on zero harm agenda. And currently, Mr. Muzira is the group Sheikh manager for Zimplats, more than 20 years experience in the agro-business industry, in the chrysotile asbestos industry, the ferrochrome, mining processing, platinum group metals, as well as teaching at universities. He holds a BSc in Environmental Sciences from NAST, a Master's in Sustainability from UK, Leeds University, a Master's of Business Administration is also from UK, University of Durham, and a Master's as well in Safety, Health and Environment from University of Greenwich, UK. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Mzila to take us through the first presentation, which is going to discuss, among other key issues, integrated business management system, a new social contract. Let's put our hands together as we invite Mr. Mzila. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Before I deep dive into my presentation today, can I ask you to say this to the person who is sitting next to you? Good morning, say, or madam, whatever the case may be. So, the best thing in the world, there's one thing that is best in the world, to present people who are smiling. Those who are setting up the presentation, maybe if you can show the presentation. So my topic today is integrated business management systems, a new social contract in the world of work. If you can go to the next slide. These are the issues that we are going to discuss, a little bit of background into integrated management systems, and also the social contract and key definitions. Then we'll discuss the social contract and perhaps assist those organizations that may want to integrate their management systems on what the roadmap that we can walk, the barriers that we may encounter, the benefits that you are likely going to experience. And we are also going to talk about how, as Zimplats, we manage to integrate the indigenous knowledge systems and also our culture into that integrated management system, and wrap up with a conclusion. The renowned international institutions, including the International Labour Organization, World Bank, World Health Organization, UN, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and many others, they concur that the traditional social contract is now inadequate, it's irrelevant, and it's ineffective. Scholars also agree that, in particular, the social contract between the employer and the employees has become individualized, and it's also fragmented. Hence, there is a global call for a new social contract in the world at work. And today, I'm going to argue and submit to you that the integrated management system is a new social contract that businesses can implement so that they can strengthen the traditional social contract. So when we talk about the integrated management system, we are simply talking about a comprehensive and a coherent system that is created by amalgamating multiple management systems into one framework of processes, of procedures, which an organization can then use to achieve its business objectives and goals. Simply put, we are saying if you have got standalone management systems, you may be having ISO 9001, quality management system, you may be having ISO 40001, EMS or ISO 45001, Occupational Health and Safety Management System. When you combine them together into that one framework, that's what we call an integrated management systems. At Zimplats, we call it a business management system. Others call it an IMS, and others call it an integrated business management system. So in this presentation, I will be using all those terms interchangeably. And when you talk about a social contract, I see the presentation is gone, but I'll continue, it will catch me. A social contract is basically implicit and explicit rules, expectations, and norms that govern behavior and also the interaction of members in a group. So in a work setting, we are talking about the employer, we are talking about the employees. I think I now need the presentation. If you can go back, I think you have jumped some slides. Okay, next. Can you move to the next one? Team, a social contract basically consists of 3 pillars. So there's consent, where there has to be a voluntary agreement between members to follow a set of rules, procedures, standards, and protocols that define that social contract. There has to be rights and responsibilities for each party, and there has to be mutual benefits that are accrued by those who are part of the social contract. So when we talk about the business management system, in the 18 years that we have implemented this system at Zimplats, we can say it is a social contract for we can say that the business management system, it is a social contract in its own right, because there is consent. There is both written and unwritten agreement between the employees and top management that it is important that we implement the requirements of the business management system. There are rights to the worker, there are rights to the employer. The right of the worker is to refuse to stop unsafe acts and refuse to work under unsafe conditions. And the right of the employer is to establish rules and instructions to strengthen the business management system. There are also responsibilities for each party. For the worker is to practice operational discipline. That is to carry out every task the right way every time. And to the employer is also expected to ensure that the business management system is relevant, is adequate, and is always effective, so that it can generate the expected outcome in terms of zero harm and also in terms of operational excellence. Then there are mutual benefits. Primarily to the worker is that confidence that the worker can go to work and go back to his family without getting injured. In our organization, we say safety or the business management system, it is a currency through which one can buy his or her big fives. And when we are talking about big fives, we are talking about the 5 things that employees regard as important to them. It could be job security, it could be the ability to pay children's school fees, the ability to pay medical bills, the ability to provide food on the table, and the ability to provide for social security. And for the business, certainly a business that does not injure employees is sustainable. So that's the biggest benefit. In the next slide, I also want to submit to you, Tim, that when you have a business management system as a social contract, you have got support from all stakeholders, because there are serious benefits that the organization can derive, and also employees, they know the benefits. This BMS for us is critical in achieving business goals in terms of sustainable zero harm, in terms of profitability, in terms of cost management. And it helps us to protect our number one asset, that is the employee. It also helps to secure and also to strengthen both the social license to operate and also the regulatory license to operate. Our company, we are a mining entity, so we transact our business in a high inherent risk environment. And for us to be able to navigate through that difficult terrain, we need a system which allows us to reduce our residual risk to a tolerable level. And the business understands that a safe operation is both a productive and also a less costly operation. That is why the business management system as a social contract is accepted by both parties in our organization. At one time, we had standalone systems, so we had the environmental management system on its own, we had the 9001 management system on its own, and also the occupational health and safety on its own, but there are challenges in having fragmented systems. The first one being a silo mentality. 20 years ago, when I was an environmental officer, when I moved around and I saw a pile of waste, what I would think about is, should this waste be at a landfill, or should this waste be at a hazardous waste yard? And I want to think that the OHS officer would probably think in terms of housekeeping, and probably having that waste at the salvage yard. And I also want to think that the quality officer would think in terms of wastage. What that means is that there is no holistic risk management. So when you are implementing these systems in a fragmented manner, you lose opportunities, particularly synergies. And you can also have an unbalanced focus on your standards in terms of the management focus, in terms of resourcing, because when you look, for example, at the ISO 9001 management system, because it talks directly to the bottom line, it's about producing a product that meets the specifications of customers. Top management will likely resource it and focus on it at the expense of other standards. But when you integrate, the organization has to focus on the total picture. There's also duplication in terms of awareness. If you have to, because if your systems are fragmented, it means you need to do awareness maybe for the set policy, awareness for the OHS policy, awareness for the quality policy. When it comes to audits, you need 3 sets of auditors. In our organization, when we are doing surveillance audits, we only bring 4 integrated auditors. So imagine if we had fragmented systems, probably would need 4 for each system, and that means a loss of costs. So when you have got fragmented systems, it means there's a lot of workload to departments, and particularly costs. So for those organizations that may want to implement the business management system, it's not just about combining procedures and work instructions. There is a framework that you need to adopt. In our case, we followed this plan, do, check, and act. The first and most important thing is for you to do an environmental scan of your stakeholders so that you can understand who they are, which ones to prioritize, and what are their needs. In our case, we did stakeholder mapping in terms of the power matrix, power interest matrix, and what we observed was that there were stakeholders who had high power and high interest, and those are the stakeholders that we needed to focus more on. That includes your regulatory authorities, your investors, your customers. These stakeholders are powerful enough to support your business. They are powerful enough to undermine your business. They are interested enough to take action, either in support or against your business. So you need to identify them and understand their needs. Once their needs have been understood, the next phase is now to determine those management systems that can support you in meeting those stakeholder expectations. For example, NASA, they are interested in seeing health and safe workplaces. So the OHS management system is the right standard. We have other regulators like EMA who wants business to operate in a sustainable manner, and the environmental management system becomes the right standard. And the next step, once you have determined those standards that you need to implement to meet those stakeholder needs, the next step is now to consolidate those management systems, which I will talk about in the next slides. But once you have a business management system like us, your burden now is to ensure that it brings the results that you want through reviews, and where you see gaps, you then need to take corrective and preventive action. Ladies and gentlemen, most practitioners, when they hear about integration or the integration of management systems, they think about just combining procedures and work instructions and checklists. That is what we call partial integration. When we are talking about full integration, we are talking about integrating systems at the strategic level, at the tactical level, and at the operational level. Strategically, it means you are integrating your business objectives, the direction of the business is integrated, and your planning is integrated. And in terms of tactical integration, you are integrating your resources. For example, instead of having a safety officer, you now have a SHEC officer. Instead of having a safety rep, you now have a SHEC rep. You can also integrate in terms of culture and also in terms of structures. Instead of having a safety management review committee, you have a SHEC management review committee. Then finally, at the operational level, that's where we are talking about integrating your procedures, your work instructions, and your checklists. And there are many ways to integrate. As you can see, there are many approaches. The first one being sequential, where you phase your integration, where you are adding one management system at a time over a long period of time. Certainly, the costs are not much because you may align your integration to your annual budget or your business plan. It's not complex because the systems will be embedded. You have a chance to celebrate quick wins and celebrate as an organization. It's not complex, it's effective. You also have overlapping approaches where as you are integrating, you then add another management system, before you even finish, you add another, and you agree with me that certainly confusion will be the result. It's less costly, but you can take a little time, but it's complex, and it's also less effective. Then you have got the simultaneous approach for those organizations that may have standalone management systems, whether they are accredited or not. You can decide to just consolidate them together, which is easy, it's less costly. You don't need, it's, in terms of time, you need less time to consolidate, and it's not complex. It's also very effective. Then lastly, you have got the big bang approach, just like the name says. These are organizations which they don't have any system, but they wake up with a system. How? Normally this happens when a practitioner, a sheikh officer, for example, leaves an organization that had integrated management systems and goes to a new organization with no systems. They borrow those procedures and work instructions, they change names and a little bit of things, and they can wake up being certified. But the problem is that that system won't be entrenched, it's not deep-rooted, and employees, management alike, they will not understand where that system is coming from and where it is going. So yes, you may want to save costs and you may want to save time, but it's complex and you may not get the results that you desire. As an organization, as simple as this is the roadmap that we walked. We started in 2004 having an environmental management system. In 2008, we took a decision to integrate the OSHA's 18001 then, and also the QMS. And over time, I think 2021, we also integrated ISO 31000. And going forward, we also want to integrate other standards. And what we have realized is that once you begin your integration, it becomes an excitement to management, to workers, because we involve them. To them, they see themselves as succeeding, so there's a lot of support. The beauty of the current management systems that we have, particularly the ISO standards, is that they've got a high-level structure, they've got core text, common terms and definitions, which allows organizations to easily integrate. What I'm showing you there, which I will not go through in detail, is when you look at ISO 9001 there and in comparison with the other two standards, what you see in green there is a tick to say the text that is in 9001 for that subclause is exactly identical. So you see that there are many instances where there's actually total identity. If you look, for example, clause 10, everything is identical, so it should be easy for you to integrate. But as you integrate, you need to know that there are challenges that you certainly encounter. The most important one, which is the tendency to maintain the status quo. Quota 2008 says that one of the reasons why organizations face challenges in bringing change is either there's misunderstanding of the change, either there's low tolerance for change, there's low interest on the change, or there's self-interest, which is the one which causes one to have that, to maintain status quo. Imagine an organization that has got a quality manager, an OHS manager, an environmental manager, and you want to integrate. Obviously, the one who thinks will be the sheikh manager will be the one who will say, let's go for it. And those ones who feel that there will be superintendents and officers out of that integration will not support that integration agenda. So you need to make sure that when you want to integrate, it's a change, it's a big change that you need to manage. And you need leadership commitment. Because without the support of leaders, your integration will not be successful. It is always important that you make a clear business case for your integration. And you sell that integration agenda to one or two directors in your organization. It could be your operations director, it could be your HR director. Once they sell the integration idea, they will then, once they buy it, they will then sell it to the rest. And once you are now implementing this integrated management system, you also need to make sure that you create a guiding coalition. Don't integrate it on your own. Make sure that there is everyone involved, from top management to worker representatives, so that at the end of the day, they will say, it's our thing. The other issues there, I can take them as read, but we also need to be cognizant that there are no guidelines for integration. So you need practitioners that are versatile, you need practitioners that are dynamic, otherwise we will face challenges in integrating. And also certification bodies, you also need their support. They know that when you integrate, it means that they will get less, because you need less auditors on site. But if they look at the bigger picture, they should be able to support you. And there are many benefits that we have seen in our organization out of the integration. I think the most important one is the resource optimization. If I were to compare, when we had those standalone systems against the integration, we had 3 KMS manuals, lots of documentation. When we integrated, we only have 1. We had 42 system procedures. Now we only have 18. And we had countless operational procedures, which made it difficult for employees to even comprehend. But now we have got very few procedures. Our communication is now streamlined. Instead of communicating a safety police, OHS police, quality police, we just communicate one police. And there's a lot of, we've managed redundancy, there's no more duplication, and our risk management is also holistic. In terms of SHEC performance, you can see the journey that we have walked, we have traveled there from 2008 when we had so many injuries, and you can see where we are as an organization. If we reached it, the end, not yet, because our goal is sustainable zero harm, but certainly we believe that as we continue to improve and enhance our integrated management system, we will certainly deliver zero harm. We are now a center of excellence in terms of integration. There are many organizations that have come to us, which we have assisted in achieving integration. Just as I was coming, another organization said they want to come and see how we are integrating so that they can also follow suit. So in terms of reputation, certainly our reputation is good, and our image has also continued to improve. As I wrap up, if you can assist me from there, it looks like this is frozen. But I also spoke about integrating culture. What we realized is that we also needed to enhance our system, and we looked at those aspects of our culture in terms of traditional knowledge systems, which we can use to strengthen our BMS. For instance, there, if you look at the communal areas, you have got our grandfathers, our grandmothers, our garden boys, the head boys, who are illiterate, but when they are milking a cow, they know the hazard. They know that they may be struck by that, by those legs. And when they are milking, they take a position where they are not in the line of fire. And we tell our employees to say, if these people can do it when they have not been taught about safety, how much more should they also do it? We have a statement that we call Vimambada, hunting a leopard. Hunting a leopard simply means is the most difficult thing to do. Because when you are hunting a leopard, it is there, but you won't see it. In this slide, there's actually a leopard. I don't know how many of you are actually seeing this leopard. So when we are doing hazard identification and risk assessment, we say to our employees, the hazard is there. You can't see it. Just like a leopard, look for it and find it. We also have a program of which we say Chirongo. Chirongo is a clay pot. It is fragile. It also holds a great sentimental value. And in our context, we say to our employees, safety is also our Chirongo. It is fragile. It also holds great sentimental value, and we must not break it. In terms of communication, when you look at our culture, communication is effective through music, through poems, through songs. Even, during the Liberation War, I was not born, but my mother was born. Certainly, music was a way of motivating. And you can see in our case, the employees were just about to go to work, and one of the general hands had to stand up, sing a song about safety. I think you can play that video, 16-second video from there, just so that you can hear what they were saying. I hope I still have my 3 minutes, because I'm left with one slide. There's no volume. Unfortunately, there's no volume, but what you are saying is, which means in English, because one of our top risks is force of ground, he was actually saying, those who are bearing down, those who bring down the bed hangings, you are doing a good thing, and God must bless you. And that kind of message resonates better and well than top management going in front of workers and tell them to work safely for the day. And as I close, we You know, in our African culture, we've got Anasekuru, we've Anatete. These are very important role models who advise family members, guide them when they are facing challenges. In our organization, we also have appointed members of top management as Sekurus and Tetes, and we've allocated them responsibilities in areas where they are not directly responsible, so that they can engage employees. Employees are not afraid to open up on issues, whether they are on the job or off the job. And it's a very effective method that we took from our culture. Ladies and gentlemen, as I close, let me submit to you that the integrated management system is a glue that binds the employer and employees together. And this is a new social contract in the world at work. For those who don't have an integrated management system, if you decide to integrate, certainly you will see that the unity between management, between workers will actually improve because you are facing a common agenda. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Tinashe, for that very insightful presentation. It is possible, very much possible, to have an integrated system, bringing to our attention the high-risk nature of Zimplats. I think we are all aware this is a mining entity, one of the major corporates in terms of high risks, but I think we can appreciate the extent, the comprehensiveness in which they've put together a package, a robust package to prevent harm. We also very much appraised of the roadmap, how we can integrate a system, and also to bringing to our attention the disadvantages of a fragmented system. It is expensive. You would, as he cited with some few examples, where you would need maybe a set of auditors in order to do the auditing if you do have some single systems. So certainly it's quite insightful also to bring in indigenous knowledge systems, as he was putting across, as a way of trying to buttress, to reinforce the message of safety and health. I think at this point, I would want you to take note of your questions, put them down. We'll come back to a session where we are going to throw some questions at our presenters. At this point in time, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the second speaker, who is Madame Priska Saungweme, who is a Sheikh manager at Nestle. I'm sure when you see your Servieta every morning, you should know that these are the people who are making sure that we do have that products on our tables. And Priska holds a Master's in Business Administration, a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Health from Chinoi University, a well-experienced Sheikh practitioner. Let's put our hands together as she takes us through on the role of leadership, with respect to safety and health. Over to you, Priska.
Thank you. A very good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen. As already alluded, I'm going to take you through my presentation, which will be based on the role of occupational safety and health, leadership in promoting safe working environments. So to begin with, I think my background was already spoken about, but I just want to tell the people that are present here to say my presentation is going to be based on the way I rose up from being a shop floor employee to become a leader whom you are seeing today. I used to be that person who used to do the sweeping in the plant, but due to the passion and the commitment that I had to go through all this to be where I am today. So to begin with, what are you going to expect? You need to expect to hear about the culture of what we do on a day-to-day basis as we work at Nestle Zimbabwe. As you all know, Nestle is a global company, so I'm just going to be talking to you about what we do on a day-to-day basis. Our mandate is safety, it starts at the top. And as an OSH leader, as you can see on that triangle that I have displayed there, we are always at the center. There at the top, we have our leaders. And there at the bottom, we have the shop floor, who are the doers of the day-to-day activities of our work. And in the traditional leadership style, we know that people will be talking about, they will be speaking and they will be expecting the doers to just execute without saying anything. But we are now moving towards a servant leadership, where we stand now as the OSH leader. You are a servant. Because at the end of the day, whatever activities that you will be doing, you need to ensure that you give ownership to the people. You need to enable them to grow. You need to empower them to do your work whilst you're sleeping at work. On this one, I can just give you an example. For my end, I have created what we call the SHEC representatives, who are the she managers, whilst I'm not there. They have taken the ownership and they do the work whilst I'm not even at work. So this, where is it really coming from? At Nestle, we have got what we call a culture of caring leadership. This culture of caring leadership, I'll just introduce it in this manner. When we were coming from Harare, some they came with fast jet. I came with Mbuyane Handa, the Air Zimbabwe. So, you know, as this aircraft was soaring through the air, we all know that it is full of metal and also matter. However, it soars through the sky, carrying us as well as the cargo. What does this aeroplane use? It uses the principles in aerodynamics, which keep it in the sky. What are these principles? It is the lift, the weight, and the thrust, and also the drag. And should any of these principles fall, it means that us with the Mbuyane Handa, we're going to go down, or we're going to crash. But at least we managed to ensure the 4 principles, which makes it a noble thing to say, whoever, wherever, where we are coming from, and OSH culture is built on principles. And I'm going to be talking about the principles that we implement on a day-to-day basis at Nestle Zimbabwe. We really do focus on the value-enabling role. I'm going to go into detail about this principle. You need to know your safety profile. You need to have that safer and easier mindset, bottom-up, outside-the-box thinking, as well as effectiveness health checks. And usually, when one of these principles is not supported by the organization, the culture can be catastrophic. You can have fatalities in the workplace. You can even have irreversible injuries in your workplace. So I'm going to go through the first one, whereby we are saying you are focusing on the value-enabling role. As a leader, an OSH leader, we know that time is not on our side. When I get to work, I put on my key priorities, factors to say today I'm going to do this. But the moment I enter my organization, I think you can also retaliate the same. To say, as an OSH person, the moment you get to the organization, a lot of she issues come into place. Somebody needs you at this rightful place, somebody requires you there. And at the end of the day, you end up not achieving what you would have planned wherever you are coming from. So we are saying at Nestle, through this caring leadership in safety principle, you need to identify the value-enabling activities. What do I mean? What are your day-to-day leadership routines? What do you do when you get to your workstation? What is it that you're mandated to have? You know, when you set up your activities, knowing that from 8 to 10, I'll be doing my personal issues, and then these leadership routines, you share it with your colleagues, the same people that you have at your same level. It means that at the end of the day, nobody will set up a meeting where you have your own time to be doing your work. So this is very, very important and very, very key. And also, when I'm talking about the value-enabling activities, you need to ask yourself as a leader, I always do that, what are my priorities? What exactly is it that I should leave as a legacy at Nestle Zimbabwe on a day-to-day basis? I also ask myself, what difference do I need to make to ensure that as a leader, this is what I have done? You also need to ensure that you differentiate your prescribed business activities. These are the requirements of the law, the requirements of this. A lot of people, they require people, a quorum, to be in their meeting. And whenever they'll be thinking of somebody, they'll just put on the calendar that an OSH leader or the she manager has to be in that meeting. You need to ask yourself, am I required? Should I be in that meeting? You know, and you have to discuss, you know, you have to be a bit political
to go to that salesperson to say, yes, I'm responsible for your safe driving, but today, am I really required? Otherwise, at the end of the day, you will end up not having achieved your own work routines, and you will be expected to bring results at the end of the day. Because if you understand that as a leader, your experiences, your beliefs, and your actions, they shape your team leaders' experiences, beliefs, and actions such that you all bring results. So at the end of the day, whatever that you do, if you don't prioritize your work, look at yourself. You know, you need to do that self-reflection to say where you are coming from. If you are somebody who doesn't prioritize your work areas, or you doesn't prioritize your work activities, you'd see you'll be just all over. When HR needs somebody to do their wellness thing, yes, you work together hand in hand, but they'll just give you to say, just do it, because they don't know what you value as an individual. This will take us to the second principle that we value. It's called Know Your Safety Profile. So on this one, we have got a system whereby my manager, he is given a set of questions to be asking to say, how do you view Priska on the internal locus of control? Whereby we are saying, my thoughts and my actions, they bring all those results in life. Whatever, let's just think what you thought of yesterday and how you acted upon it is what you are today. So at the end of the day, you need to really understand yourself as an individual before you become that leader that you are. You need to be vigilant, staying alert of the things that you'll be doing, right? Because we are faced with pressures of life. So at the end of the day, if you're not alert, you can end up losing it. Because on this one, you are doing a self-personal reflection. You need to act impulsively, exercising caution to yourself. You know, whatever that you're doing, what exactly are you doing and how exactly are you doing it? We also need to look at your emotional stability. You know, at times our leaders, you would really know that this person today, I think they had an argument with their wife before they came, or they had a friction with their husbands before they came to work. Because in that meeting, you know, you might be seated there as a gentleman, but Priska is standing there. And then you'll be punching at you, and then you would wonder, why are you doing it? So at the end of the day, as an OSH leader, if you are not able to manage your emotions, it becomes an issue. You also need to ensure you understand about compliance. This will be checking to say, is Priska a compliant person? Have you ever seen some people that are just compliant? They follow what the standard says. Yes, it's good, but at times you also need to ensure safe production in whatever that you will be doing, and then having that resilience. So at the end of the day, somebody will do that OSH profile on your behalf, and then you can get rated. So you have to take this personal ownership, which is what the leaders do. They have to take that key ownership, and then they see, okay, I as Priska, I've got an issue to do with emotional stability, but we have got Paul there who is 100% or 90% in handling their emotions. And then we pay you as the leaders to say, can you help this individual such that at the end of the day, they will be able to know how to work. We move on to the third principle, but before I introduce it, we want to talk about protecting people and promoting productivity. At Nestle, how we do it, we ensure leadership at shop floor. So I'm going to take you through that cycle, whereby we ensure we go to the Gemba and spend time with our employees. So to start with, we need to make time with our employees doing leadership at shop floor. What is it? What is this leadership at shop floor that I'm going to be talking about? We are saying everyone, everywhere should be everywhere, you know, with the people. You need to ensure that you build a rapport with the team that you are working with. You spend quality time with the operators. I was laughing at one point when somebody asked me that, Priska, do you really work at night shift? And I said, yes. Why are you saying I can't work at night shift just because I'm a she manager? When she leaders here looking at me, the moment you spend your time, you just hide your car. At times, just hire a taxi and then let them drop you. Don't go into your office. Just wear a work suit and be like them. That's when you see miracles of what those people do when you are not there during the night shift and even during the afternoon shift. You know, I was surprised one day when I saw someone jumping from a platform. Yes, I'm coming from an organization like Nestle.
They were jumping off the platform, but there are walkways. And I asked, why are you doing it? They couldn't even answer, because I had stayed behind and I just wanted to check and see and understand. And you know, with my background also coming from shop floor, I know all the shortcuts that they do, because I have been in it and I know how it has been done. So at the end of the day, and I was somebody who also executed these shortcuts, right? So at the end of the day, I know, and then I would just have to create a rapport and ensure that I understand what they are doing. So at times, you also need to ensure that you do observing and coaching. When you go to the Gemba, don't be asking a lot of things. Take that broom that they are using. Yes, they are lifting. You cannot lift a 50 kg. For myself, I can't, because there'll be two people doing that work. So I would say, okay, let me get the broom. We do what we call clean as you go. I start cleaning, observing and coaching. You know, I just observe and then I go. I don't do anything. I just do more listening than talking, and then I will be empowering them. The next thing is they have to come with solutions to me, because I will be more like upskilling them to say, give me the solution of what you think I should do to improve the hazard that is on your workplace. So you also take this as an opportunity for recognition. You need to be recognizing the people that you'll be working with, those who come with ideas for you to improve, because as a SHE leader, you don't know everything. But what is it not? This leadership is about finding failures and mistakes, which is what most of us do. Walking around the factory, you'll be moving around with your portfolio, and then you'll be just walking around. You're not engaging, taking over the responsibilities. You don't need to take over responsibilities of the operators. Let them do their work. Let them do their day-to-day activities. You are not auditing them. And you're not even giving them instructions for what already has been decided, or do it as a tick box exercise. So it would take me straight to the third approach that we do to say bottom up, outside the box thinking. What exactly is it that I mean? Everyone, all senior leadership at Nestle and middle managers, they have got their own areas which they own. We divide the whole factory to say somebody is responsible. The accountant will be responsible for the utility section. They will go there and find the shake hazards that are in that area, and they will come up with solutions. So we are saying all the areas needs to be covered. Our approach is there is no closed door at Nestle. If you get there, you know, this is what we learned from one of our managers. They say behind every closed door, there is a hazard. So there is no door at your factory as an OSH leader that you are not supposed to leave not open. Make sure that that door is open. Ask for the keys and have it opened and access it and see what is there. You will be surprised that it is, an electrical substation which is full of files which you don't even know about. Maybe there was an audit which was coming from for food safety or whatever, and the people, they decided to hide the things there, and they were forgotten. But they create a fire risk for the OSH leader. So every day we spend at minimum 40 to 50% of our daily time on the shop floor. So you decide if you want to start at 6 to 7, but you need to ensure that you have spent your time within the shop floor. What will you be focusing on? The adherence to the standards. You also, after you have done whatever that you are doing, you also need to ensure that you brief the area authority. We call them the area authority. If there is the engineer who is there from the engineering department, whether you are from finance, you have gone to that department, you need to give them an action plan. But it's not for the engineer to execute. It's for you, the accounting person, to execute. So this is how we ensure we rope in all the leaders to ensure that we promote the bottom-up, outside-box thinking. During that moment, that's when we identify what we call the big risks. Have you ever noted? A lot of us would think of that pyramid to say, if we eliminate the unsafe eggs, the near misses that are at the bottom, we really ensure that the fatality there one day it will not happen. What we have noted is, if you identify that big risk that caused that irreversible incident for your organization the previous time, you will really be able to tackle whatever that matters. For example, if you know that your lock-out take-out system is not working and it has resulted in a fatality, focus on that, and then you would be surprised that 50% of your problems are eliminated as an organization. And after we have done this, we also ensure regular rotations. This is whereby we are making people to take ownership of their area with the leaders. So we also have the principle of safer, and easier mindset, unlocking a safe and healthy working environment. What is it all about? We are building leadership relationship with operators. We are empowering these operators so that they can solve their own problems, ensuring alignment and promoting the right behaviors. At the end of the day, we are also ensuring that standards are deeply executed. You need to do what we call planned observations as well as unplanned observations. You plan that this time I'm going to go to this certain area. I'll be looking maybe, for example, at chemical management, and then you'll be checking on that, only that. The problem that we have as leaders is you go there with a checklist full of 20 things. You will not be able to achieve it. Yes, you can see other things, but if you are going into that section, if today you have decided that I'm going to look at chemical management, do chemical safety, and that's it. You come back to your desk and you have added value to your system. And after that, these planned observations, make sure you come up with an action plan which you are responsible for as an individual, and the area owner will be tracking you for the gap closures. So on these ones, we are saying when you're going to this Gemba, know the operation and the people. Don't be somebody who would have read about an equipment and machinery from the manual of the manufacturer and you just go onto that workstation dictating whatever that they need. Have you ever realized that the operators, I was once there, if you are as a leader and a meeting is conducted after you have gone out, it means that something is wrong. You have not engaged the people. You need to get into the plant, and if there are 8 people on that line, all of them should be competing to be talking to you. This is what happens to me. When I get into the plant, everyone wants to be telling me their issues. Here the production manager have done this, here the production operator have done this. And, you know, at the end of the day, I'll tell them, okay, they have done it. So what is it that you're going to do as an operator? I need a solution because I don't operate this machine. I'm just coming here to be with you. So at the end of the day, you observe the operation and ask open-ended questions and then collaborate on the next steps. Knowing very well that when you're going to the platform, when you're going to the Gemba, you are going to be there as a guide, as a teacher, and as a facilitator, because you are supporting them and then enabling them to improve. And our main focus is on the 80% behaviors, because whatever that happens, it is the person that would have executed that. So we also need to ensure that we do what we call follow-up. Most of us, we fail on this. We do the Gemba, we come up with action plans, but we don't follow up. What do you do after executing? We have got what we term the daily operations review, which is a leadership engagement. Every day at 10 o'clock, we just meet wherever we are, and then we just discuss to say, okay, from supply chain, what support do you need from she that I can do today to ensure that I add value to your system? So this is the platform where we escalate and prioritize our urgent issues, and we follow up on discussion. It will not be a formal meeting, but it will be just where we are standing, we just discuss, and we also ensure that we eliminate the repeated issues that have been escalated. And we discuss and replicate good ideas. We also copy from you, sir, even from Zimplats. Whatever that you would have learned, we just replicate to say, I have learned this from this other organization. Why can't I do it as well? And then one important thing is, ladies and gentlemen, the people that we are leading, some of us, we have been given the opportunity, or maybe it was by luck that somebody went for greener pastures and you were told that you are now a leader. So at the end of the day, understand that the people that you are also leading, some due to the economic issues, they are there, but it doesn't tell mean that they don't know. Some of them, they are even more educated than you, but you are on that role due to an opportunity. So you need to capitalize more on the hidden talent during this visit. When you see somebody is really good at problem solving, give them the task and ensure that they do. Okay, thank you so much. So my last part is on the effectiveness health checks. One author said, we do not learn from experience, we learn from reflecting on the experience. We need to ensure that we engage the operators or the workers that we are working with through the team scoreboards, the leadership scoreboard, the leading and lagging indicators, the team health check. So a successful team health check aims to win the hearts and minds of our employees. And this is also whereby you have to ask the questions, what have you done, why have you done it, and how are you going to execute the day-to-day activities of what you'll be doing. So it is really, really important to have a self-reflection of what you do. I always say feedback is a gift, as I'm now concluding, and ideas are the currents of our next generation. For us as Nestle, how we have broke through the leadership, we have a program whereby we have to know how to engage in a conversation with our employees. At the end of the day, you make them take ownership, take the lead role, and be the people that they should be. What is it that we'll be talking about? For example, when you get to the workstation, you ask the operator, give me some ideas about how we could do what we have planned in a safer way. So they have to tell you what they need, and then you support them by ensuring that resources are availed. You can ask another question, what can I do to make your job easier and safer for you? And when do you feel the most risk at this side? You know, if you give it back to them, if you become their servant, you will get the best results ever that you would need. And you can even ask them, do you have the right instructions for the tools that you are using? And when was the last time that you read them? And what have you done this week to reduce the risks to one of your work colleagues? You also need to bring it back home to say whatever activities that you're doing, you as a person, you are the leader, you have to take it up. So in my last slide will be safety, occupational safety and health. It starts at the top, and we have got the motto at my workstation that says, safety begins with me. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Priska, encouraging us, leadership. I know we have got chief executives here. We do have chief executives. I'm sure you have taken some points which you can actually implement at your various workplaces. Leadership. You must experience what happens at the shop floor. That's where the work is done. That's leadership has been challenged to spend at the shop floor. So indeed, this has been quite an encouraging. Then we come back to Prof on our discussion. So I do have Mr. Rangarirai Mutonono here, a renowned a professional when it comes to conformity body within the region in the form of SADCAS. And Rangarirai is very much well ethics and best practices in auditing.
Good morning to you all. My topic is ethics and best practices in auditing. I highlighted some of the aspects that I was going to present on. If it was in church, the presentation will be looking at the functions of SARS, personal behavior of end up with establishment and maintenance of competent auditors. The body of Zimbabwe, which was established in 1957. We also have laboratory services where we have chemical and food technology labs, engineering labs, and then we have quality assurance services where we do certification of products as well as management systems. We also have what is called destination inspection for those that are importing, say, goods and services from outside our borders. You will know that there are certain listed products that have to go through what is called the CBCA, consignment-based conformity assessment program from their country of origin before they can be accepted into the country. And in the event that you have such products that have not been subjected to the CBCA and they are at the border, they will need to go through the destination inspection. So you will see SARS having some inspectors there. We are trying to test the technology here. I think there is need for an audit to be done here. Okay, all right. Probably, yeah, maybe you can assist me. It appears the pointer is not functional from my end. Okay, I think we have won. So, as I was indicating that SARS, you can proceed to the next slide. Yes, when we talk of auditing, perhaps many may view it from the side of certification. But what you are going to see is that auditing is used in every aspect of conformity assessment, whether you are into testing, whether you are into inspection, whether you are into certification, verification, validation. You need to do some form of auditing. And for example, 17025 standard will require internal audits to be done, the same with 17020, which is used by inspection bodies. For certification bodies, 17021 will specify that internal audits must be done. So you have auditors in a wide spectrum. In certification, we branch into two, where we have management system certification and product certification. Probably some have come across those logos that we use for management system certifications. Those logos cannot be used on an organization's product. They are just there for advertising that the organization is certified. But the product certification logo is the one that has to be used on products. Now, when we talk of conformity assessment from WTO and TBT agreement, it defines it as any procedure used directly or indirectly to determine that relevant requirements in technical regulations or standards are fulfilled. So we are looking at any form of evaluation that is going to be done, and this will include activities such as testing, inspection, management system certification, product certification, and so forth. And it's wide, like you can also have other activities like verification, validation being used to define that particular term of conformity assessment. In terms of when we look at the market is comprised of consumers that want to consume, the goods and services. You also have the regional markets. You have government being part of the market. You also have producers of the goods and services, or those that supply with the goods and services. And then you have the goods and services themselves. All these are found in the market. But what is key is to ensure that those that want to use the products, what confidence are they going to have in terms of health and safety of those goods and services that they want to apply? And this is where you find the role of conformity assessment coming in. And this is where you find you have conformity assessment bodies like the certification body, inspection body, testing laboratory, to mention a few. And in terms of conformity assessment, you can move on with the slide, please. The types of conformity assessment. We have what we refer to as the first party, where we say this is commonly referred to as the internal, say, auditing or internal evaluation or self-declaration of conformity. So as an organization, if you are carrying out your internal audits, you are carrying out your internal tests, it's a form of conformity assessment where you are self-declaring that our goods conform to this particular standard. And then there is second party, where you see it being a relationship between the customer and the supplier, where perhaps the customer wants to go and audit the supplier to check that they conform to certain requirements. So it's also another form of conformity assessment. Then there is the third party, where you have now an independent body, like the certification body, coming to audit an organization and certify an organization and deem that it meets certain requirements. But what you are going to see is that, like I said earlier on, auditing is a key in any form of conformity assessment. And auditing is simply defined as the systematic and independent process for obtaining objective evidence and evaluating it objectively to determine the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled. So as auditors, we need to understand it from this perspective, that when you are carrying an audit, you have been entrusted to go and do an evaluation to verify the extent to which requirements are being met. And there are basically three parties which are important in an audit. For an audit to sail through, you need what is called the client who requests the audit. So the client sets the tone for the audit by ensuring that the purpose of the audit is well defined, the objectives of the audit are also defined. And as an auditor, you need to really understand the expectations of the client. So if you are going to do an internal audit, if you are going to be doing a second-party audit, if you are going to be doing a third-party audit, you need to understand as to who the client is in any instance, and ensure that you are well versed with the objectives of the audit. And then you as the auditor, you are the one who is carrying out the audit, but you can't do it without the auditees. So the auditees are the people who are being audited. So it forms what we term as the audit triangle. You need those three parties for an audit to be effective or to sail through. In terms of hierarchy in certification, you'll find that if we are to look at the organization seeking certification, there are various standards. And in this particular case, we talk of, say, 9001, which is on quality, 14,001, which is on environment, 45,001, which is on occupational health and safety management system. But you find that there are also other management system standards that have been developed. To date, we now have over 60 management system standards to which organizations can be certified to. So in the fields of asset management system, ISO 55001, energy management system, ISO 50001, information security, ISO 27001. There are so many. So, but what you are going to see is that the most commonly used are your three, and perhaps those in the food industry, they also use ISO 22000, which is a food safety management system. But an organization needs certification. I have seen in many areas where you see people confusing the word accreditation and certification. You are going to see, as I present this, that there is a difference in terms of, the certification hierarchy. So the organization needs certification. Then the certification body is the one which requires accreditation. So for a certification body to certify and have their certificates internationally recognized, they need what is called accreditation. And this is where you will see, accreditation of certification bodies. We do have various standards in terms of certification. There's 17021, Part 1 of 2015, which defines certification to management systems. Then 17065 covers requirements pertaining to certification of products. And then we have 17024 of 2012, which covers certification of personnel. So it's possible to also certify persons. Then accreditation body is now the body that will be checking on the certification bodies through what we call assessments. And these are done also periodically. So, for example, SARS is accredited by by SADC, which is our own SADC regional accreditation body. And accreditation bodies also have to conform to their own standard, which is called ISO IEC 1702011 of 2017. So they also get to do what are called peer evaluations amongst themselves as accreditation bodies throughout the world. And for an accreditation body to be recognized internationally, they have to be recognized by the International Accreditation Forum through what is called the multilateral recognition arrangements, where they also have gone through a successful peer evaluation and to ensure that they conform to this standard. So you can see that it's a chain of checking and ensuring that there is confidence within the conformity assessment service providers. Now, what does this mean now to the audit process? If you look at one of the ISO standards, which is ISO 19011-2018, which speaks to the auditing, it has got 7 principles. And for these 7 principles, you see that 4 relate or speak to the auditor as a person. And we are looking at issues of integrity. Auditors must be people who are of integrity. You need to be trusted. You need to be someone who is honest, someone who is faithful, someone who can be trusted. Then there is the aspect of fair presentation. If you are given an opportunity to do the audit, present fairly, present with honesty. Make sure that whatever report that you are going to come up with is a fair presentation, is based on what you found during the audit. So you shouldn't be able to, you shouldn't start, editing things which were not encountered during the audit, or subtracting things that you found in the audit, maybe for the fear of that you may start to be victimized, or maybe your colleague may start to lose their job or whatever. Then due professional care, you find that there is also the need to apply due diligence in terms of the audit process. When you carry out the audit, make sure that you are thorough, you get to the bottom of issues, as well as you need to also to understand that auditing is a profession. Previously, when the issues of certification started, we used to have what would maybe in course call super auditors, where you find the auditor is auditing almost every system or almost every sector, as an auditor. But nowadays, it's different. You need to exercise due professional care. You need to know your area, your expertise. If it's an area that you are not conversant with, it's better that you recuse yourself, that is not my area, and let people with expertise in that area carry out the audit. And that's why you also see that in some cases, auditors are supplemented with technical experts when it comes to certain technical areas, so that they are able to conversant, with the auditees and ensure that they are understanding each other. The other aspect is confidentiality. If you are a person with 1 gig heart, I'm sorry, you don't qualify to be an auditor. As an auditor, you need to ensure that whatever information that you are going to be privileged to is kept to yourself, as well as, the audit client does that. It's not an issue of where you now start discussing when you are with the friends for a drink, or even at home if the wife has cooked or the husband has cooked nice food. Don't forget and start now disclosing some of the confidential information about clients. So you need to ensure that you observe issues of confidentiality. And you may see in most cases organizations who require, or even as part of accreditation, auditors are required to sign confidentiality undertakings. Then the other 3 principles which pertain to the process independence. As we carry out our, audit activities, as auditors, we need to be independent. We must not be duly influenced in terms of making decisions. So this ensures that issues of self-interest, if you have got interest in a certain, organization or a certain auditee or a certain process, it's better that you are not involved in auditing that, process. Or sometimes it could be self-review, where you may end up auditing your own work. The issue of independence in terms of even perception will not come out. And then sometimes the issue of intimidation. Yeah, you can have cases whereby an auditor can, be coerced, offered a bribe. We call it intimidation. Those things must be disclosed, to the client if you happen to be offered, such a skill, because they will compromise, the outcome of the audit. That's why sometimes you may end up, having an organization that is certified, but when you look at the results, the outcome, it's not talking to what is required in the standards. So those issues must also be, disclosed. Evidence-based decision approach. When you are carrying out an audit, bear in mind as an auditor, your role is to gather evidence. Any decision that you make is based on evidence that you are going to see, not hearsay. Yes, sometimes you encounter, a lot of issues where people maybe come to you, this and that. Make sure that you verify before you make a conclusion as an auditor. Then risk-based approach, you find that, since the revision of the all ISO management systems, they've started to incorporate the issue of risk-based thinking. So as an auditor, when you are carrying out an audit, you need to have a risk-based approach. Focus on things of significance. Don't waste your time on trivial issues. Make sure that you understand what needs to be looked at, what is key if I'm auditing occupational health and safety, what is key if I'm auditing environment, what is key if I'm auditing quality, and that is very important. And remember, also sometimes as an auditor, the trend has been that you are looking at what has been done, but the approach now is to take another dimension where you are anticipating. So as an auditor, you should be able to assist the organization to predict what might likely go wrong so that the organization takes action before things take the other way. So it's very important that, the new approach in auditing is to be able to see things from a broader perspective and even from a futuristic aspect, rather than relying on what things have been done, historical things. Now, in terms of desired personal behaviors of an audit or an auditor, you want an auditor who is open-minded. Auditing requires interaction with the auditees. You need to create that rapport with the auditees for you to be able to get the evidence that you require. And you will see that in most cases, sometimes auditors who have been guilty to be stiff-necked. Sometimes we don't want to give the auditees room to explain. Let them explain their process and be able to also get into their shoes and understand where they are coming from. So auditing is an interaction, it's not an interrogation. You need to be interacting with the auditees. You also need to be diplomatic. Yes, you will handle, people of various levels, so make sure various cultures, various beliefs, so you need to be someone who is quite diplomatic so that you don't end up, offending respective auditees unknowingly. Then sometimes, ethical conduct is very key. We want you to be fair, truthful, sincere, and honest. So be someone who is governed by ethics. Ubuntu, unu, is expected in auditing. So there are certain things that we expect from an auditor. So sometimes you may see that you have got a very good, well, educated, well, technically competent auditor, but they may lose it when it comes to ethical conduct. So in such a case, you may not be a good auditor. Then perceptive, you should be able to be aware of and able to understand the situation. We say an auditor has got 6 eyes, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, and 2 at the sideways. So you need to understand, to put things into picture. So sometimes you can see, with gestures, an auditee being, informed or being, told by gestures that they must vacate the area, probably because the auditor is there. You need to understand why. Why is it so? Sometimes you want to insist to people to interview and to talk to people who are doing the work so that you get real objective evidence. Then tenacious, you must be focused on achieving objectives. So stay focused. Sometimes information is not forthcoming. Remember, you are auditing a process. As an auditor, you must be quite, versatile. You should be able to track things from another angle in the event that the auditees are not forthcoming with certain information, because there will always be interaction with the processes. Then decisive, you should be able to understand, to timely reach conclusions based on logical reasoning and analysis. This will require you to also have thorough knowledge of the audit criteria. The requirements that you are auditing against, it must be in you. You must understand, the various requirements in that particular sector, so that you don't waste unnecessary time in terms of making decisions, whether there is a conformity, or whether there is a non-conformity, or whether there is an opportunity for improvement. Then self-reliant, you must be someone who makes your own decisions. So gather evidence which is adequate for you to make the decision. Then in terms of communication, you must be someone who is good in communication. Improve yourself in terms of communication skills. Get to know also to learn from others in terms of enhancing your communication skills as an auditor, because auditing will require you to be communicating effectively. What are some of the negative characteristics of auditors? What we don't expect? Poor planning and preparation. If you don't plan well your audit, it will show by the results. So you need to plan. You mustn't be too rigid. Like I said, you need to be open-minded, discuss with the auditees, interact with the auditee, create that good rapport with the auditor, with the auditees. Then opinionated, avoid using your own opinions, base decisions on evidence and facts which are there, and always evaluate evidence against requirements. Then don't jump into conclusions. Before the auditee even finishes, expressing themselves, you're already communicating. It's a non-conformity. Give the auditee room to explain. Sometimes things are not what you think they are. Then you mustn't be argumentative. If it happens that you have not agreed with the auditees, yes, it happens. It's part of the process. You need to understand how what channels you need to follow. Sometimes you may want to explain to the auditee that there is an appeal process that they can go through. It's part of the game. Yes, sometimes we may fail to agree on a particular matter, but there is an appeal system that auditees may go through. Then you mustn't be a bad communicator. I think I've already talked about that. You mustn't be easily influenced in terms of decision. Remain resolute in terms of if you believe that is a finding, remain resolute. If the auditees feel otherwise, then you can take the necessary channels which are required. Then stays in the office. Remember, when you are auditing, you are not. We are not talking of a system of documents. The standard talks of a documented system. So it's not about the paperwork, the forms. We have done this. We have trained. Or sometimes you may see people have been made to fill in the training register in the morning because they know that the auditor is coming. But sometimes the audit has not been done. But what you need to do as an auditor is to ensure that you effectively go on the ground to verify. If they are saying training was offered, you have the right to go and even interview the people who were trained. Are they showing that they understand, the requirements of the training which was offered? The actions on the ground, are they exhibiting that they are following the trainings which were offered to them? So you need to look at all those areas. Then poor timekeeping. As an auditor, you also need to be good at time management, and you shouldn't be afraid of passing unpopular judgments. If requirements have not been met, don't be shy or don't be afraid to say, I'm afraid your system currently is not conforming, or we are going to raise an non-conformity in this particular area. So an auditor must not be afraid to pass unpopular judgments. Now, what you are going to see when establishing an audit evaluation criteria, as organizations, whether it's internal, whether it's second, whether it's third party, there is need to set criteria which can be based on qualitative aspects, like looking at personal behavior, knowledge, skills, and training. Those are very, very key. Unfortunately, with the qualitative aspects, sometimes they are very difficult. If someone doesn't have already, they may need to go through a quite, a vigorous process for you to address those issues. Then quantitative, you also need to set, the criteria for your auditors based on work experience, education, number of audits conducted, hours of audit training, so that you ensure that, if they are going to say we are trained auditors, is it a reflection that they have gone through a thorough audit process? Do they know the requirements of auditing? Then you also need to conduct audit evaluation, and you may use various methods, not just relying on one method. A combination of the various methods is effective for a better output. You can review competence records. You may also rely on feedback from the auditees, where you want to check performance and conduct of the auditors. You may also rely on interviewing them, the auditors. After an audit, you may call them, interview them, verify that they know certain areas. You may also want to do observation, whereby if they are, say, you can create role plays, witnessing audit. As they audit, maybe they are being evaluated by a well-experienced auditor. It's just part of mentoring and grooming them. Then testing, yes, you can also test behavior to see that they are able to conduct themselves professionally. And then knowledge and skills, you can also make them write tests or maybe do oral interviews to test them. What you are also going to see, what is key is in some countries, there are quite stringent measures in terms of the auditing profession, in terms of registration with professional bodies. You find there are bodies that can be used. In our own context, we have SATCA, which is the Southern African Auditors Training and Certification Authority. There is also the International Register of Certificated Auditors, ACA, and then of late Professional Evaluation and Certification Board, PECB. These are some of the bodies which are there to register auditors as professional. But I think it's high time that we have to have our own Zimbabwean body. And I'm sure this is just, setting the tone to ensure that in a few years down the line, we are going to have our own auditor registration professional body. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rangarirai, for taking us through ethics in auditing. I think this is a very important component, a very important element indeed, understanding the process all the way and also appreciating the need to engage the right organization if you are going to go through a certification process. I think you got some points there. Standards Association of Zimbabwe is our own standards making body in this country. They are into certification, so you can approach them if you are going to go that route, that journey, to make sure that we have got a system which is well recognized. But I think more importantly is that even as auditing takes place for that particular system, it is important that the system is very practical in its approach. Vehicle AGM 0126, vehicle AGM 0126, your lights are on. It's belonging to Rua. Please, can you attend to your vehicle? Now, before we jump into a discussion session, allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to us Professor Gasana. Professor Gasana, who holds a Doctor of Medicine, a PhD. He is a professor, he is a researcher, a consultant. He is also an occupational safety and health capacity building expert, an expert who is currently the founder and chair of Applied Prevention Center in Miami, Florida, United States of America. Professor Gasana is a person who studied medicine in Rwanda, where he was the chair of the Environmental and Occupational Health Department for a couple of years. He later joined the Florida Institute of University, Florida International University in Miami, where he established a number of key programs over a span of 20 years. He is currently consulting in Qatar under the World Health Organization framework. He is also an active member of the International Commission on Occupational Health around the globe. But ladies and gentlemen, allow us, if we put our hands together as we leave the floor to Professor Gasana to take us through on a very pertinent topic on time to get out lead. Lead is a highly noxious and very hazardous a heavy metal. And he is going to take us through and giving us insights into that particular session. Over to you, Prof.
Thank you, Dr. Mutetwa. It's been a privilege and honor to be here on my native continent. As he said, I was born in Rwanda. I left many years ago, about 36 years ago. That's when I went to US and finishing medical school and being a faculty of medicine. And then I got into research on lead poisoning among children and workers. Some of the lead that affect the children are the ones the workers bring home, the take-home lead poisoning that you probably heard about. So I dive into this for, I don't know if this works, but okay. Yeah, this is what I'm doing today. And I was FIU, as he said, for the International University, State University for 20 years. And I went to Kuwait University, where I spent 8 years. I left in January. And now we have this Global Applied Prevention Center. We're promoting health and safety among underserved populations and workers. So I don't have any conflict to disclose. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no. Something happened here. The other one. Yeah, the other one. Sorry, there's some... That took... Give me a second one. I had two presentations, that's why there's a confusion here. It should be sorted out. Well, I came in here actually as someone who been looking at the interface between environmental health and occupational health. Because what we do in workplace end up affecting environment, and I think I've been always looking at both sides because many people tend to focus on just occupational health and safety, but then I like the theme of the conference here because you really including environment. My previous presenters and my colleagues here really spend some time on this. This is very important. We shouldn't be forgetting our environment because it's affecting us back, and we got to have a clean environment as we have to have a clean workplace. So that had to be both, And when I established this was pretty much a divine blessing, and I don't know how I ended up in this. And when I left Rwanda back, in 1988, and then I went to University of Illinois Chicago. I got a master's and a PhD in environment and occupational health, and I ended up at Florida International University. And then, all of a sudden, we had about 7 faculty members. It was a department of public health. I was in charge of environment and health. And then, all of a sudden, in 5 years from 1995, that's when I joined, 2000, one of our colleagues died. When he died, his father was one of the billionaires, 400 billionaires at that time. He came to the memorial service and said, hey, what do we do that my son is gone? And the dean said, well, we can create a school in the name of your son. He said, how much money do you need? And the dean said, $1 million. And I give you 2. No, I give you 2.5. That day, the dean came to my office and said, how stupid the dean can be. You took the billionaire asking $1 million. I mean, why didn't I ask 120 or 5 or something? So we had $2.5 million in our hands, and the state university, you get to be matched by dollar per dollar by the state. So we end up with $5 million in our hands. And he said, hey, you guys, go ahead, create departments in your own field. Since I was the one doing environment and occupational health, I established a department of environment and occupational health, and which I did. I was able to recruit 7 people from one man army, which I was, and then 15 years later, in 2015, and that's when I heard that Kuwait University was looking for someone to do the same thing, to help establish a school of public health, and then establish a school of, a department of environment and occupational health. I went there for 8 years, from 2016 to 2024. In January, that's when I left. We established a school, and I established the Department of Environmental. I was the chair of the department, and I was even the program director for the Masters of Public Health. So when I went back to Miami, I said, hey, if we did this, why can't we create this global applied prevention center? And what we're trying to do now here, trying to build this to try to serve underserved populations. We've been hearing about informal sector workers. When we were in Marrakesh at the International Commission on Occupational Health, do you see any representative of informal workers here? We're preaching to the choir. Like here, we're talking to each other, but the guy who's affected is not represented. So how do we reach out to those people? The migrant workers. In the U.S., we tend to look at the migrant workers in the Middle East, but we have so many in the U.S. I don't think they're living in better conditions because I've been visiting those camps where they live. So, and I said, we can do this. We're looking for partners. That's one of the reasons I'm excited to be in Zimbabwe, which I love really. When I landed here, I said, oh, this is a beautiful country. It's really nice. The hospitality was amazing, and I think the food also. And I think this is you keep it the way it is. You don't you try to copy anybody else because you're really doing very well in that regard. And I think it's if we really focus on health and safety, of the people in the workplace and the populations affected. And I was asked by the World Bank, and it actually